Welcome everyone to day one of our 7-day nutrition challenge. And this challenge again builds off of the last 3 weeks of challenges. We are looking at 4 core principles to releasing toxins easily. This is a gentle way to look at detox. We do this through week-long challenges that focus on these 4 areas of hydration, breathing, awareness, and nutrition. And so this week we're focusing on nutrition, but I want to go ahead and just remind you that this is cumulative. We're building off of each of the last weeks. And so if this is your first time to see the video, go ahead and go back into the Facebook group and look for the day one of the hydration challenge. And that's where you'll learn about sourcing your water, getting the best quality water possible. Ideally, you're going to be drinking 6 to 8 glasses of spring water or ceramic filtered water a day. And for a small person, it's a small glass. And for a big person, it's a big glass. So that is your first hydration goal. And then also remember that we've talked about detox in a very different sense with these programs, in that it's about remove and replace. A lot of cleanse and detox programs out there really push some herbs and some removal of foods and fasting and that sort of thing to really sort of force your organs to push out the junk. And that can be effective for a short time. But generally, if you are facing deficiencies to begin with, as most people are with the standard Western diet, you need to replace. You need to add in the good stuff. And it's more important to add in good stuff than just to take a vacation from the bad. So we really like to emphasize that, because this is about supporting your body's natural ability to let go. And when you do that, you're able to remove toxins and release fat in a really healthy and productive way. And as you're nutritionally supporting yourself, as we will be doing this week, then as your body starts rebuilding, it's really getting the nutrients that it needs to do that effectively. So in the second week, we talked about breathing, and breathing is so important because it helps you to reduce stress and get a grip. It's so important for the lizard brain, that fight or flight syndrome, the thing that got us here evolutionarily, that, allowed us to quickly respond to an emergency situation and run from that tiger and get away quickly. We don't need that anymore, and yet we still rely on it and are stuck in it through a lot of our daily habits and routines. And so by breathing, and especially this box breathing technique, you will start to help your gut and your diaphragm really release and let go of that fight or flight trigger, and reduce cortisol in the process. And when you reduce cortisol, your body says, okay, I don't need to hold on to anything, I can let go. So it's a very natural way for your body to relax and learn to let go on its own. And so you'll keep with the breathing, and you can go back into the videos and learn how to do that. We take you through that exercise. And then this all-important flow state, this thing that we're constantly searching for. It's such a beautiful place to be. And we talked about how important it is in terms of neuroepinephrine, dopamine, the happy chemicals, anandamide, serotonin, and endorphins. All of those are part of a very cyclical process of achieving flow states. And the box breathing is your way into that. And then we talk further in the awareness week about other ways that you can start to trigger and achieve flow states. So go ahead and go back to that to learn more about the wonders of flow. And why we want flow: it increases motivation, creativity, and learning. And for those of us that are constant life learners, or are really building skill sets, the more you can get into flow and learn in a flow state and be in a flow state, the quicker you will achieve mastery of that skill. And so the concept of 10,000 hours gets reduced in half when you are achieving those flow states in a learning process. So it's really very important and something that all teachers should be learning to help their students achieve as well. So we talked about how we can support ourselves in our fuel and how we burn fuel in a ketogenic diet versus a sugar diet, high carb diet. And so in the process of learning to let go of our sugars, we have added fruit to breakfast on an empty stomach. And by doing this, you are helping to reduce the sugar cravings that are going to come on when you take sugar out of your diet. And last week in our awareness challenge, we really talked about how you can, in taking a vacation from refined sugars and sweeteners, you can start to get this internal dialogue where your food devil steps up and is really starting to push you into craving the things that you're letting go of and you're taking a vacation from. So it's really important that you are starting to be aware of your food dialogue and the choices that you make so that you can relate the initial craving to the undesirable effect of that food type. And the shorter the time period between those two places is where you achieve power over willpower. You gain control over that trying to will yourself out of a not so great situation. And when you can do that, you ultimately change the relationship to your food. So revisit that week. If you missed any part of it, it can be very helpful in learning to deal with the food devil and the food angel dialogue and what comes up in those moments. So listen carefully as those things are coming up, because this week we're going to be adding in some more enhancements. And then we talked about the 6 human hungers and how, as you're becoming aware of cravings and what kinds of things trigger hunger, these are the things that you can do by addressing each one of these 6 hungers to go forward with greater awareness and reducing the hungers that are less helpful for you as you are changing your relationship to food. So very key. There's a very long, well, not long, but about a 20-minute video on this specifically, but it's included along with the last week's videos. And then we talked about fire again and the ancestral wisdom that it brings. And I really like these questions. These are the kinds of questions that you are asked when you go to a shaman and you are in distress, there are imbalances in your life. The shaman will ask you when you stopped dancing, when you stopped singing, when you stopped being enchanted by stories, and when you stopped finding comfort in the sweet territory of silence. And so last week, as we really focused on our awareness and the things that, burn passion in us and the kinds of fuels that can brightly illuminate us, these are the kinds of questions that you can consider as you are shifting your attitude towards how you take care of yourself and how you feed yourself. And then additionally, when we adopt a daily gratitude practice and we get into opportunities to really acknowledge another person, there are some really great gratitude practices out there. Writing in a journal on a daily basis, stopping for a moment and just thinking a peaceful gratitude moment for a situation or a person can really help your awareness and shift your mindset. But actually applying this practice with another human not only improves the experience for yourself, but then you get this positive feedback loop that happens, because when you are thankful to another person and you practice this gratitude process with them, they also become grateful. And so it's a very positive feedback loop that you can try out. And it helps get you into flow as well. So this week, what we are going to be doing to focus on our nutrition. So it's going to be really important to apply this step and to do it specifically after you have your fruit. What you want to do is make an Alka-Geyser. An Alka-Geyser is a green drink. Basically, it's a green smoothie. And this is sort of a more mild version for you newbies that are giving this a go. It has some bananas in it, and I also use kale instead of spinach most of the time. I'm a little bit more sensitive to spinach and to some of those dark leafier greens. And so it's really important if you've ever had kidney issues or kidney stones in particular, that as you're adding dark leafy greens into your diet, you may want to cook them first if you're rather sensitive. If you have a thyroid condition like I do, you may need to do that, or at least sort of change things up every once in a while. And then also support yourself with some kind of magnesium, either magnesium powder in some water, or magnesium oils. I really love magnesium oil as just like a nighttime spray before I go to bed. It's like a cozy blanket, and it really helps me to counteract the oxalates that are in these dark leafy greens that can sometimes create muscle tension. So just keep an eye out on that, and be aware that there's different types of hacks to be able to address it. This also has carrot in it, which is a sweeter veggie, and so you can leave those out if you're looking to have less sugar. But it helps when you're letting go of sugar to kind of utilize these sweeter fruits and vegetables as a way to change your taste buds, and then you can also take them out later. So, and again, coconut water you can have or leave out depending upon the type of coconut. So Thai coconuts tend to be sweeter than some other coconuts. And really read the labels, because there's a lot of coconut waters out there that add sugar. So just be very, very aware and read your labels. And if you want less sweet, this list shows you which ones you can leave out for less sweetness. So you're going to want to whip that up in a really awesome blender like a Vitamix or a Blendtec. The NutriBullet does a decent job. It tends to leave it a little chunky, a little textured. So all good though, because as you have it more texturized, you're getting in more of your digestive juices as you're kind of sipping it and taking it down. So all good. However you can do it and achieve the result of drinking one of these glasses once a day, twice a day for bonus in the afternoon if you want to have a second one, but at least once a day to really start providing yourself with some great nutrition in the morning. And so this full recipe will be in the Facebook group as well. So the other enhancement. So this week, we're going to also let go of a couple other things that are going to help your digestive system to sort of relax a bit, because these are really heavy carbs that require quite a bit of digestion in order to process. And for a lot of people, cause imbalances in their gut flora And so this is going to be a way for you to let go of some more sugars so that you can experience a season of being without a lot of heavy sugars in your digestive system. And yet you're going to be getting, extra nutrition, more leafy greens and veggies. For every serving of grains and potatoes that you're going to take off your plate this week, I want you to add in more veggies. Okay. So really, really important to look at that. There's a great TED Talk that I'll see if I can find the link. I don't agree with everything that the speaker talks about. I think may allow for some slip ups and, treating yourself and that kind of thing, which, I think is, it's a life choice. But when you get into good health, why derail yourself from things that can really slow you down? So, but what she talks about is that, we should be literally having like 9 plates worth of veggies every day. The whole USDA recommended daily allowance chart is pretty heavily influenced in terms of policy by the various food manufacturers that really are trying to get their foods onto that chart. And grain itself was never even included in the USDA until I think it was in the 30s, when a bread manufacturer was able to get the USDA to add grain to the USDA recommended diet. So, these things have an agenda behind them and support a petrochemical, high food mile, big industry. And, as we're looking at taking better care of ourselves and taking better care of the planet, grain tends to be one of those kinds of crops or various types of crops that are heavily damaging of the topsoil and require quite a bit of pesticides in order to grow. They've even genetically engineered grains that can withstand certain types of chemicals too. So not really an ideal situation for our gut when we want to support a healthy gut biome. And by eating some of these grains and getting exposed to glyphosate, which is a pesticide, it's a patented pesticide that kills the gut bacteria in certain bugs. And there are studies that are linking it to a decline in our own gut bacteria, which can get confused with being gluten sensitive, when in fact, maybe what's really going on is an exposure to glyphosate. Difficult to know. The grain itself is also very difficult on the digestive system. So, take a break, take a vacation, see what happens. And, with potatoes, it's really interesting. When I took my first vacation from potatoes, I had a very consistent nightly ritual before this where I would eat potato chips in the evening. And when I got aware of my own nightly ritual and the reasons behind that, the emotional reasons behind that, I realized I was quite bored and was really fulfilling an emotional gap in my life by eating potato chips. And so for me, it was a real eye-opener because I found that they significantly impacted my musculature. I had a lot of cramping. I used to have ocular migraines, and these things went away when I stopped eating potatoes. So take a vacation and see what happens for yourself, because I think you may find that after a few days, you're going to feel a little lighter. All right, we're going to take one more vacation. It's going to be from dairy. So milk, cheese, and butter, we want to go ahead and let those go this week as well, because they are based in lactose, and lactose is a sugar, and we're trying to let go of those sugars to give you a sense of how you can get into a ketogenic fuel burning state for a short period of time. This is temporary. It doesn't have to be forever. There's a lot of information out there about the difficult things that milk does to your body. So, there's a lot of marketing out there that says milk does a body good, but the research that's coming in, the neutrally funded research, is showing that actually it increases your pH. And in order to address the pH increase in your body, you need calcium. And so what ends up happening is, instead of supporting your bone structure, milk ends up depriving calcium from your bone structure so that it can rebalance your pH system. And a lot of people, like our co-founder, Eric Edmeans of WildFit, has shared, incredible benefits from not having milk, including years of sinus problems that he had until he ended up giving up milk in his 20s. And what that did for him when he could actually breathe through his nose, when he hadn't been able to do that, and he had no idea of what the natural airflow of air through your nostrils really felt like. I mean, those are some significant changes that can happen for people, along with for people that are lactose intolerant, which most people are. They just sort of adapt to it. It can cause a lot of gut issues as well, and cramping and diarrhea and, all those lovely things. So there's other ways that you can help replace the milk that you're currently consuming. There's ways that you can get different types of dairy-free cheeses and dairy-free butters. I recommend trying to just eat without those things for a couple days, and then, if you want to create some recipes, we can provide those. Just go ahead and ask, and I can provide a list of ideas around making some vegan cheese sauces and things like that. But one of the ways that you can really replace milk is by, doing a homemade mayo. If you like mayo in dressings or on sandwiches and that sort of thing. And of course, using grain-free breads that also don't have milk in them will really help out as well. So more on that as we go this week, but nuts are a great way to do a replacement of milk and also provide yourself with some great protein sources too. So everything in moderation. You're going to want to have a small amount of nuts, not a ton. It helps to keep your carb level low, because nuts do have some pretty good carbs. So, a handful, maybe once or twice a day is great. So with that, those are your enhancements for the next couple of days. And on Wednesday, we will return and we'll talk more about nutrition and how it supports your body to naturally release toxins and let go of fats. That's all for now. Thanks for joining me. And until next time, have a beautiful day and walk in beauty.